Hello everyone, episode 31 of the MEE-FIT podcast today. I am joined by two very special guests. First guest is co-owner of MEE-FIT and my beautiful wife, Shannon, and my even more beautiful baby girl, Harley, is joining us for this episode. Wave to the camera. So today's episode, we're going to be talking all things parenting and fitness, which we thought was a good episode to bring Harley along to, because we thought it was very fitting in how we have to juggle things around babies and childcare and kids in general. But then also, it's a good time of year, I think, to be having this discussion, because as we're filming this, it's the 4th of September. So kids have mostly just gone back to school or will be heading back soon. The last 6 weeks for most parents, especially if the kids are obviously younger, like school or college age, has been a challenge. And now we tend to find September is a good time for people to refocus themselves and get back on track and get back into a routine. So we thought it'd be good to just talk about parenting in general and how we balance health and fitness around 3 gorgeous babies. So yeah, I mean, just start us off, Shan. I mean, how do you fit your training in currently?
Well, I do my training before anybody else is really up and about, and that's the only way I feel like I can get it done personally. But I know that other people don't like getting up early, so that might be a challenge for them. But for me, getting it done first thing before anything else has even happened yet, or I've even heard, Mummy, 1,000 times, I like to get it done.
Yeah. So you come in here and train at 6 a.m, don't you?
6 a.m, so I get up at like 5:30-ish, make sure she's settled somewhat before I get out of bed, and then get here for 6 a.m. So I try and do that, like at least, I'm kind of doing like 4 sessions a week at the moment, I would say. Yeah. Across the week. So
usually
I'm happy.
Like 3 or 4 mornings, sometimes Saturday morning.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that. It doesn't need to be every day. I think it's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
So yes, before anybody else needs me is my...
Yeah. And then, as best as we can, we'll then try and tie it in that I then go after you. Mm-hmm. As you're... Try to, don't we? As you very rightly highlighted recently, you are that little bit better than me at getting up at that time. I'm pretty good, but not quite as good as you. So yeah, if we can do it that way, I will try and go afterwards, train 7 till sort of 8-ish, shower, and then come back to then deal with school run. Yeah,
sometimes that works for you, but then sometimes you can also get it done later in the day, can't you? Sometimes,
but I hate it.
You like doing it. We're
both the same in that sense, aren't we? Like, we both like, even if it wasn't for the kids, like we still used to try and train early, didn't we, even before that? Why is that for you?
For me, like I said before, like it's just before anything else really happens, but I feel so much more motivated to just get up and get it done, rather than thinking about it all day, waiting around, and then something crops up, or like, I was going to do it then, but now more distraction for me, like throughout the day, which maybe puts it off. Like I have trained in the afternoon and the evening, and it's been always absolutely fine, but I'm just such a morning person in that sense, and I think my body's kind of over the years wired to get up at that time. Like even when I don't need to be in the gym early, I'm often awake around a similar time, so it just makes sense to get it done as soon as, for me. Yeah,
but let's just to be clear on this before we move on, it is very rare that you get home from the gym and we are all still in bed.
Yes,
that is a rarity. Like the kid, I mean, Max was up at 5:30 this morning. Yeah, I mean, neither of us trained early this morning, actually, did we? No. But you know, our kids are all early risers as well, aren't they? Which is probably partly maybe because throughout their pregnancy of them being in your tummy, they were all used to getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym with you.
Bouncing around
and having a bit of a party. So they're probably naturally, like they're not kids who lay in, are they?
No, we've never woke them up.
No.
For anything.
No. The only time we've ever woke, well, even then you're not trying to not wake them up, are they? Like when we've left to go holiday early morning, but then you're trying to not wake them up to get them in the car, but we've never had to wake Marshall. We're like, Marshall, you're going to be late for school or nursery.
It will
or
happen
whatever.
Eventually.
Maybe. So that's how you deal with it. And obviously, and I try and fit in around that. Sometimes I'll come at 6, and I can do it. Obviously,
you can
I do
do
it, and it's just you're that little bit better than me. And then sometimes I make the mistake of thinking, oh, I'll do it later, and then I don't do it later, and that really annoys me then because I think I should have just come this morning.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think, like the intentions are always there. Like I pack my kit and stuff, but like
for some people it's different. For like if you enjoy that extra hour in bed, or like if sleep's a big thing for you, then it's going to be different. So you might prefer training in the evening, but I don't think that I don't necessarily feel that different on a couple of hours less sleep. I don't think it impacts me that much throughout the day. Like if I had no sleep, then obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm be knackered. But I don't think like my body really realises missing like a couple of hours here and there. And obviously we've had 3 kids in the space of 4 years, so my sleep's been pretty disrupted for 4 years. So I don't think I'm that like heavily, I need that many hours sleep, or else I can't function or anything like that. Like I kind of feel
as well on that. Like, what's your thought? We were chatting about this as a team actually not that long ago, and kind of like discussing like. So obviously sleep's super important. Like we all know sleep is important and we need to get enough sleep. However, like the argument we were having was like, I was saying, well, if someone isn't sleeping well, let's say they're not getting enough sleep, and they think to themselves, oh, I'm not gonna go to the gym because I need that extra hour in bed. In my opinion, based on the understanding I've got of what keeps us healthy and well, you would be better off sacrificing an hour of sleep to exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd agree.
Like, rather than thinking, I'm not exercising, but I'm also not sleeping well. But I'm not going to get up any earlier to go and train because I need that sleep. But for me, getting exercise into someone's routine is always better, no matter what whatever it's in placement of. So, I suppose we're both in agreement of that. And also, like, one of the biggest things we hear from clients is like just how much better their sleep pattern gets and their sleep quality gets when they do train and exercise more regularly. So I think if the morning is a slot that you can make work around your life, especially obviously for the case of this podcast we're talking about family life especially, then it's definitely worthwhile.
Because even on the days where like before her, like they're both little bears or whatever, and I'd have like X amount of hours in the day, even then I would still get up and do it in the morning because then once I've taken when I didn't have to, because then even when I've taken them, then I come back to the house and then think, right, I've got some washing to do, or I've got to tidy this, and I've got other like jobs. They come to the front of my mind, whereas I'm not going to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock and do those things then.
No,
they're like day jobs for me. Like that, so I'd rather do my gym then. Like how many times I've said to you, like, oh, I'm not cutting in. You've said, oh, go in the day when the kids are at nursery. No, I'm not cutting into my child free time when they're not here doing that. I want to do it. And obviously a big reason for that is I'm lucky enough that you're at home with that, taking, all the kids are getting up and you're happy to take on that role as you're getting up with everybody and getting them downstairs and breakfast and stuff like that, which is mainly your role is, they're normally having breakfast when I come home. So like, I'm lucky that you're happy to do that. Whereas I know maybe some partners, if you're unlucky enough to have like not as a supportive partner in that sense, or if you're doing it on your own, then that would be a different conversation entirely. Like I wouldn't be able to get here at 6 a.m.
Absolutely. So and that's important to highlight.
Every situation is
we obviously talk about the importance of getting it in and everything else, but we are in a fortunate position whereby we've got
and we're on the same page with what we think and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean we've had clients here, we know people personally who, one of the partners is health and fitness orientated, looks after their own, and then the other one isn't, and that obviously has another challenge because what do you mean? Like, no, I won't look after the child or the children in the morning while you go to the gym. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's obviously another issue.
And then that falls into the whole like, oh, you're selfish by going off and doing that, and whereas you would never say that.
No.
Like you would never say that. You would never think that because obviously we're both on the same page with how we view health and fitness. Whereas there probably is some people out there who think, oh, you should be looking after the kids, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like you're selfish for wanting to go and take that time for yourself, or they don't appreciate self-care and all that kind of stuff. Like I think being on the same page with somebody and having the same view is like massive for that.
What would you advise someone to do if they were in that scenario whereby one of the partners, male or female, doesn't matter, is pro and wants to do that, and the other one doesn't see the value in it, or doesn't think it's an appropriate thing to be doing, and relying on the other person for childcare support. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one, that would be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And a hard question to answer. But if that was my position, I guess that I would wait until I didn't have the children, so i.e. they're in school or they're in nursery or whatever, and then I would have to do it whilst they were not in my care. Like, that would be my only way of doing it. So then I'd be like cutting into my child-free time doing that instead if I couldn't get up and do it.
I suppose for a lot of people, then the reality is that then they're working. So that's you know what I mean. It's another challenge. So just as a like a point that we'll make, we understand that the position we are in is a privileged one in a lot of senses, that we both value health and fitness. We're in a position where we can take time out of our day, whether that's early morning, in the day, potentially in the evening, you know, to do that. And we're not as tied to particular working hours as what, you know, a lot of other people are. So there's obviously that understanding with everything that we say here.
I do think as well, like, it depends on, you know, if you've been doing it for life, if you're passionate about it, or if you are really wanting to change your health and fitness habits. Like, say you weren't at home and I had the free, would I still be getting out of bed at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and going and doing a little exercise downstairs in the living room? Yeah. Like, is that what I would do potentially? Because it's important to me, and that I'm that way inclined. Whereas you know, you can always do something if you want to do it badly enough. I think if that's what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people might be lucky enough to have a space at home where they can make a bit of a home gym set up in like a spare area of their house. We haven't really got that in our house at the moment, but then we've got all this. So. But so there's that as well, which I think if someone seriously wanted to do that for themselves, like, you know, they might think that's the way to do it. And which I would advise. Like, if you can't get out at early hours,
I mean,
and
single parent, or, you know, working parent who doesn't have the support from their spouse, then maybe that's the only option they've got, is do it at a weekend, or do it in the evening, or do it in the early morning, where the kids are. I mean, in an ideal world, we'd have it that the kids would be in bed when we were doing it, but it never happens, like we spoke about. But that would be the ideal scenario. What's your thoughts, or kind of, I suppose, message for anyone really who is in the mindset of what we just spoke about then, in terms of the selfishness and the mum guilt? Like, that's obviously a really big thing that we hear, you know, about from parents, especially mums. Dads a little bit, but I think the roles are just different. Like, it is more mums who have that opinion of it. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've never ever had that view, and I feel like that's mainly because I've had the support from you. But I just think, me personally, I feel like if you look after yourself, then you're a better version of you to then take care of everybody else. That's how I view it. I think, it's obviously a very personal thing, and no one's saying that if you don't exercise, you're not as good of mum or anything like that. No. But it's, for me, how I feel like if I have that hour to myself in the day, I've ticked that box, I've done something for me, I'm not mum for an hour, and then I've got the whole hour, many hours rest of the day where I am. Like, to me, that's not selfish. No. That is not selfish at all. Like, so I don't agree with that at all. Like, people thinking that is the way. And if you do feel mum guilt about it, then I would just try your best not to, because I think it's silly.
I agree. I think it's really hard when you say, like, how would you change someone's opinion on that? Because we all have our own opinions that we feel, but I think the way I view it is, it's like you're trying to reframe it, aren't you? Away from the negative, which is, the negative is, I'm leaving the house for an hour.
Time away from your children.
I'm time away from my children, where I could be doing X, Y, Z with them, or I could be doing something for them, making breakfast or doing their lunches or whatever. So there's all those negative things that you can think about it, but then you've got to flip and look more at the positives, like you said, that, you know, it's an hour for yourself to look after yourself, your own health and well-being, mental health as well, having that break from being mum, and also the longer term trajectory of your health and wellness as well.
Because I think, like, if I'm healthy and I'm gonna be a healthier parent for them, like, for longer, I'll be able to, you know, chase them around the park for longer and carry them for longer, all those things. Like that's for me, that's going to help me be a better mum, like to what I do and what I, believe is good for our kids. But then like a lot of the time, like we said, before they're in bed, I'm doing it before they need me. So if I felt like if I was doing it in the hours where they did need me as much, I might have a bit more mum guilt maybe. But I still think, it's worth, you shouldn't, because it's still that time where you're taking care of yourself, where I think that's, super important.
It's definitely worse during the hours that they need you, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me, like obviously, like we've already spoke about, I try and do my training in the morning after you, sometimes like 6, but usually 7 or whatever. And then like, if I ever have left it or for any particular reason I would have to leave the house to go and train, and that's during a time where I could be with the boys and I'm not working, like that's when I do feel a little bit guilty.
It's like, where are you going, Daddy? And it's like, oh, Daddy's going to the gym. So it's more of a conversation, isn't it? And what they'll often say to you, don't go, Daddy, and make you feel that really guilt, whereas I don't even give them a chance to do that, because I'm out the door, I'm gone, and they know now. It's not even like, I bet they don't even say where
they do ask, but then I'll say, you know where Mummy is, like Mummy's at the gym. Like, they sometimes ask, but they probably both know really that Mummy's, and then when you get back they'll know that where you've been. So that's definitely harder, but I still think, going back to what we said before, it is still, although it is harder, it's still important that I do that as and when I need to tick the boxes that I want to tick for my own health and well-being. But what I try and do, which is something that's been a newer thing, especially as Marsha's got a little bit older, is try and tie in some of my exercise with him, and as Max gets on his bike a little bit more, I'll be able to do the same with him. So I try and go on a weekly run. I'm not a serious runner, so I can do it, and Marshall can come with me on his bike.
I think that's a big tip for people that can't get to a gym or haven't got that hours or haven't got another person that's supporting them in those hours, is to involve the kids in the activity and try and do something active with them. Like it might not be coming into a gym environment, but you can still go for take them for a jog if they're old enough, or a good walk, or even if they're on the park playing, you could be on the park, you might feel a little bit silly, but you could potentially do something. Like I think I would probably do that if that was
we'll
my
have to
position.
Knit some chin-ups on the monkey bars, won't we, and mess around and stuff.
So that's what you got to do. You got to get it done. But I also think, talking about the same thing for the kids, like a role model as well, like they know where I am. So I think that's a big thing for me, and again maybe why I don't feel as much mum guilt and all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like I'm giving them a really good example of being a healthy, fit person, and showing them that that you have to get up and go and do these things, and
them seeing
kind of ingrained in
health
them
and
now.
fitness as part of their normal routine, and us as their parents' normal routine, I think is a really powerful thing, because then they're going to grow up knowing that that's what people do, and hopefully it'll foster in them a physical activity, and they love it, don't they? Like they love going out bike rides, and they love they love being physically active. So if you can incorporate that, and then them see you doing it in your own time as well, it just becomes more of the normal.
Well, yeah, because I can imagine that as your kid gets older, maybe more like teenage years, if you aren't that fit or you're not that active, I'm sure there's those parents that are still trying to educate their kids, even if they're not actually doing it themselves. They'll be still saying, but going out, doing some exercise, PE is good for you, like you should enjoy it. And they're like maybe trying to make their kid, but encourage their kid to go in the football team or do those things and be more active. But then if they're not doing that themselves, then
feels hypocritical.
So I feel like that's...
And kids aren't stupid, like they'll pick up on that.
They'll be like, well, why don't you do anything? I could see that being a conversation in a lot of houses.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's...
I mean, we had a discussion, I can't remember, I think I was chatting with someone here about it, who, it was basically that someone was trying to get their slightly older kids, like 10-ish, maybe early teens, like on a family walk. And the kids were just like, I hate this. Like, because they hadn't been used to it. Like, it was a shock to the system, and it was something new, and it was like they weren't on their iPad, or they weren't like at home on their gaming or whatever. It was like a big deal. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose we're not at that point yet, but I hope that what we're doing with them now in terms of being active and physically engaging in runs and walks and different things will just keep them on that path, so that as and when they are older and are able to go and climb Snowdon or something, they won't think, oh, this is such a drag. They'll actually enjoy it, and they'll think it's a fun day, rather than it being like the worst thing ever.
So I think there's that as well to try and think about. If you maybe aren't in that position yet and your kids are getting older, and you think, oh, I don't want them to be like me, I don't want them to be unhealthy, I don't want them to be like, no one wants that for their kids.
No.
But I think do that for yourself, and then your kid will see that. And
I mean, we've got I can think of numerous examples here of people who've said that about, it's often a driver of what brings people here in the first place.
I've heard people say it.
So people will say to me, like, I don't feel like I'm being a very good example. I don't feel I'm looking after myself to the best of my ability. I'm worried about my long-term health and wellness. And also, then off the back of that, we then hear from lots of people that it has been a positive influence on their family. Their family, the household is more active generally because they are, and children, obviously depending on the age, but they will copy what you do. Like they are a mirror of you, and I think they will engage with things that you engage with. So we hear about that all the time from people that we work with, and it's such a powerful reason to, I think, change your health and fitness for the people around you. And it goes back to what we said before, like trying to reframe the negatives into the positive. Well, if I spend time on my health and fitness now, that will look after me now, it'll look after me longer term, and my family will hopefully see what I'm doing and engage with it longer term themselves as well.
She's going to nod off in a minute.
Yeah. To look at it from a slightly different angle, I think one of the biggest barriers that I can think of when I speak to people on the phone about, making a positive change in their health and fitness is the time that they have to look after themselves, or the time that they're willing or able to dedicate to it. And I think sometimes there's this misconception that you have to be doing, hours upon hours of fitness activity to make it worthwhile. What's your thoughts or perspectives on that?
Well, I said at the beginning I tried to do like 3-4 sessions across the week, so that's only 3 to 4 hours. Like, it's not that much time in the grand scheme of things of that what I'm spending on my physical activity. And I think even getting into a gym or doing something twice a week is so beneficial. I think, like you said, people think that you have to be running hundreds of miles every day. It's just not realistic, and it doesn't need to be that way at all. And I think people can get to maybe be a bit overwhelmed when they think that, I need to be doing so much, when in reality a couple of sessions a week is going to make a big difference to your strength and your fitness and your mental well-being as well. You said it before, just coming in and switching off and, just focusing on that is, good for you, and doesn't need to be 7 hours a week. It can just be 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I suppose I was trying to say. Like, so many people will think to themselves that, if I can only do 2 sessions, they'll use the word only. Yeah. And I'll try and say to them, look,
that's great.
Only 2 is not only 2. Only 2 is great, really, because 2 is still 2 more than what you have been doing. Yeah. That's, across the course of a year, that's 104 workouts that you are now doing that you wouldn't have been doing. Yeah. And that will make a massive change on your health, your fitness, your strength.
And I think even say they're coming in and doing the only 2 sessions, but because they're coming in and doing those 2 sessions, it's probably having a positive impact on the rest of the week because they are doing those 2 sessions. So they might be thinking, I'm going to go for that walk, I'm going to do, and then that's going to add on as well, because they're just in a better place mentally and health anyway. It's going to make the rest of their week potentially better just by doing those 2 sessions. And I think we've seen it a lot as well, like people start with the 2 sessions and it creeps up to 3 and other things add into that, so it's not just 2 sessions.
I think once people have got over that barrier, isn't it, once they've made that start and they've realised, I actually enjoy this, I'm seeing results, it's not as bad as I thought it would be in terms of spending that time on myself. Like you said, I think it is quite common then to see people think, maybe there is another window of opportunity here for me somewhere, and they manage to find it. But then sometimes they don't. We've got lots of clients who do come here twice a week, and in some ways, I mean, we've made this argument with people before, like, sometimes I think that the less people do, sometimes the harder they work as well. Like, you know, because if you are only doing 2, and I'm going to say only in inverted commas, you're going to make sure that you're working really hard in those 2 sessions because you know you've got those 2 and that's kind of it. Whereas, you know, if you are in a position where you can train 4, 5, 6 times a week or whatever, like, you might be a little bit more inclined to sort of not push as much, do you know what I mean? Because you know you've got so much training in that it almost becomes like, oh, I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? So I think getting those 2 sessions in is an absolute win for so many people. Right, so I think we've covered off a lot of good ground there around the parenting angle. Harley does look like she's about to fall asleep, so I think it's probably a good time for us to finish up the podcast episode there. So just before we do though, Shan, what would be, just right off the cuff, what would be, I don't know, your key message to anyone who's a parent who is struggling to, you know, look after their own health and fitness, like, or is, you know, is feeling maybe a little bit guilty or whatever, like, you know, a parent who's struggling to be where they want to be with their health and fitness, what would your, like, key message to them be? One
would be don't feel the guilt. Would be just, no, don't feel the guilt because it's important. So that would be my main message would be try not to feel the guilt because I think it's super important for you and your family for you to be the best version of yourself. So that would be my main message. But to anyone that's struggling or wants to start it, I feel like to start it, it's just getting over the starting barrier of like once you start, like it will just click into place and you will make the time if you're enjoying it. But it's getting over that starting barrier. But I think once you start, you won't look back. What's the key thing that we always end up talking about on these podcasts that can help people do that when especially if they're struggling to do it on their own? Come here.
Well, not necessarily come here. No. There's a part of our service. There's a single word that we come back to all the time.
Accountability. I was like, what?
I think you've not been on the podcast for a while. I think for me, like, we always come back to this because we know from working with so many people over the years, lots and lots of parents, lots and lots of grandparents, like, you know, there's so many other things that can take your attention. There's so many other things that can take your time. And talking again about the guilt and all that side of things, like, if you're someone who's struggling to stay on the right track, doing it on your own, having that person outside of the household, not your partner, because that never works. What's, you know, me and you training together was probably like, we'd argue, wouldn't we? Like, it was just never, like, we hardly ever do that, but training together in the gym and giving each other feedback and stuff was always something that was just like, no. But it's hard to hold each other to account as well, though, isn't it? Between me and you, we try it sometimes, it never works. So I just feel like if you are someone who is not being as consistent as you would like to be,
seeking out external help,
have someone there, and that could be a gym like ours, it could be for some parents, they probably can't get here, you know, and that's where something like an online coach might be more helpful. You said before about, you know, if someone needed to, they could get up in the morning and do a workout from home. Now, most people listening to this who that would be relevant for, the thought is probably like, I would never do that. Whereas if you've paid for a coach that says, right, you're going to get up and do that session, and you're going to send me a video after you've done it, or a picture, or you're going to film a bit about it, you're way more likely to do it. And that for me, again, is accountability.
So not doing it on your own.
Don't do it on your own. Like, get some form of support. And again, there's a cost to that, of course. And again, that might be a barrier for some people. But, you know, there's plenty of online fitness solutions that are big group things where there's a huge community, and it might cost you 10 quid a month to be involved in that, but it's got some structure, it's got some form of accountability, maybe not one-to-one in terms of I'm checking in with you, but there's a group kind of camaraderie to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's lots of options out there for people to have someone or a group of people who are behind them supporting them.
So don't just think like, I'm on my own, I can't do this, or I can't afford this. Like, there's most likely a way in which you could do it.
And you could find something to keep you. And if people are in a position where they can pay for a more direct one-to-one accountability type thing, then great. Like, you know, I think that's money well spent, and people here will will agree with that, you know,
Yeah.
that it's well worth it to feel the way they do when
I think
they are
spending
consistent.
any amount of money for us, we're obviously going to view it as worth it because we're into that and we're passionate about
Yeah.
it. But I think any investment that you make into yourself, if it makes you feel good and makes you feel better, and you're a healthier, stronger, fitter person, then for me it doesn't. That's well worth the investment that you make.
Absolutely. Lovely. We will finish up there because she is about to fall asleep. We need to get a picture as well before she falls asleep for the cover. So cool. We will finish up there. Thank you very much for watching, anyone who stuck with us through that. I hope you found our ramblings on parenting and health and fitness really helpful. Any questions on that, anything you'd like to kind of speak to us about, then feel free to reach out. And thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.